Everyone knows the 5-year rule. If you stay in a home for 5 years, buying should beat renting. But in 2026, that shortcut can fail badly. A house may look cheaper than an apartment on a mortgage calculator, then lose the comparison once taxes, insurance, maintenance, closing costs, and the money tied up in a down payment enter the picture. So today, we're not asking whether buying is always better or renting is always smarter. We are running one clear American example to find the number that actually matters: your personal break-even year. Start with the national snapshot. Zillow's May 2026 market report puts the typical U.S. home value at about $369,000 and typical rent at $1,951 a month. Freddie Mac's average 30-year fixed mortgage rate was 6.66% on July 30th. Those are national figures, not a quote for your city or your credit, but they give us a realistic starting line. Imagine two households with the same income and the same $85,000 in available cash. Maya buys the typical home. Daniel rents a comparable place and invests the cash he did not use for a purchase. Maya puts 20% down, about $73,700. For the example, we also use buyer closing costs equal to 3% of the price, roughly $11,100. Her total cash committed on day one is close to $85,000. Her mortgage is about $295,000. At 6.66% for 30 years, principal and interest are roughly $1,896 a month. That number looks almost identical to Daniel's $1,951 rent. If the comparison stops there, buying appears to win. But the mortgage is not the cost of the house. Add an illustrative property tax rate of 1.1% a year, about $338 a month. Add roughly $175 for homeowner's insurance. Add maintenance at 0.5% of the home value each year, about $154 a month. Before utilities or an HOA, Maya's estimated monthly ownership cost is around $2,560. Daniel's rent, plus basic renter's insurance, is around $1,970. In this illustration, renting begins almost $600 a month cheaper. That difference is not proof that renting wins. Part of Maya's mortgage payment reduces the loan balance. That is real equity. And if the property appreciates, her equity can grow faster. But early in a 30-year mortgage, interest does most of the work. During the first 5 years in this example, Maya pays about $95,000 in interest and reduces the principal by only about $18,000. Now add the cost that most quick calculators hide: selling. To compare fairly at year 5, Maya must convert the house back into spendable money. Using a 6% selling cost assumption, the agent fees, transfer expenses, and other sale costs take a large bite. These are modeling assumptions, not a prediction or a quote, but they show why time matters. Let us give the home a steady 3% annual appreciation rate. Again, that is an illustration, not a forecast. After 5 years, the home would be worth about $427,000. After paying the remaining mortgage and estimated selling costs, Maya's net proceeds would be roughly $125,000. Daniel started with the same $85,000, invested it at an illustrative 4% annual return, and added the monthly amount he saved by renting. After 5 years, his account would be around $140,000. Under these exact assumptions, the renter is ahead by roughly $15,000 at year 5. Change the appreciation rate, local tax, insurance, maintenance, rent, investment return, or selling cost, and the result changes. That is the entire point. 5 years is not a law.
In this model, if the home appreciates around 3% a year, the two paths do not meet until roughly year 8. If appreciation is closer to 4%, buying can catch up much earlier. If appreciation stays near 1%, buying may not catch the renter for decades. Nobody knows the future appreciation rate. What you can know is how fragile your decision becomes when the plan depends on one optimistic assumption. Location changes everything. Zillow's May data showed typical values down year over year in markets such as Austin, while Chicago posted growth. Rents also moved differently from city to city. A national average cannot tell a family in Dallas, Boston, Tampa, or Seattle when buying wins. Use the price of the home you would actually buy and the rent of the home you would actually occupy. Comparing a suburban 4-bedroom purchase with a downtown studio rent is not analysis. It is two different lifestyles. The second question is mobility. Suppose you may change jobs, start a family, or move within 3 years. Renting buys flexibility. A lease can be expensive to break, but selling a house can be far more expensive and far slower. In a short stay, the transaction costs do not have enough time to spread out. The moving truck can erase the apparent bargain. Now, suppose you have stable work, a strong emergency fund, and you expect to remain for 10 years or longer. Buying gets more time to pay down principal, absorb the purchase and sale costs, and benefit from any appreciation. A fixed-rate mortgage also gives stability to the principal and interest portion of the payment. Taxes, insurance, maintenance, and repairs can still rise, but the loan payment itself is predictable. There is also a behavior gap. The renter only wins the investment comparison if the renter actually invests. If Daniel spends the down payment and the monthly savings, the portfolio disappears. Home ownership can act like forced saving because each principal payment builds equity. But forced saving is not free saving. It comes with concentration risk, repair bills, and money that is difficult to access quickly. So run 5 checks before you sign anything. First, how long are you highly confident you will stay? Second, what is the full monthly owner cost, including tax, insurance, maintenance, and HOA dues? Third, how much cash remains after the down payment and closing? The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau suggests preserving an emergency cushion and notes that closing costs typically range from 2 to 5% of the purchase price. Fourth, what selling cost will you use in your break-even model? And fifth, if you rent, will you automate the investment difference every month? Then stress test the answer. Run appreciation at 1, 3, and 4%. Raise insurance and maintenance. Lower the investment return. Test a move in year 3, year 5, year 8, and year 10. If buying only wins under the most optimistic column, the home may be too expensive. If buying still works under the cautious column and the lifestyle fits, you have a much stronger decision. The smartest choice in 2026 is not owning at any cost, and it is not renting forever. It is refusing to let a monthly payment make a 10-year decision for you. Find your local break-even year, keep a cash buffer, and choose the option that survives real life. That is how you stop guessing and start using the numbers.